was called Cheder Hamitot, which means the bedroom chamber. That was like the bedroom chamber where we became most intimate with God. By introducing this set of laws, you're not just taking sexuality at face value, but you're introducing something holy into the relationship, something godly and something divine, where it's not only your passions that rule, but where you allow a godly set of rules to come into your life, and where you actually invite God into your bedroom. And that's why it says that the mikveh is the most important institution in any Jewish life. You're even allowed to take a Sefer Torah and sell it. Now think about that. The Sefer Torah was the holiest thing for Jews. You know, we would run into burning buildings in order to rescue our Torahs. And yet you're able to take the Torah and sell it in order to build a mikveh. You're able to build a mikveh instead of a shul, because the mikveh comes first, which attests to the high value that Judaism gives to not just the communal life, but the private life between husband and wife. How this is a godly endeavor of the community. And we're told that the Kohen Gadol, the holy priest, the high priest, on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, what did he used to do to prepare? Well, he spent days before that studying and learning and becoming very holy. But right before he would go in, he would actually go into the mikveh, because that was the final preparation. The waters in the mikveh, which are considered the most spiritual of all liquids. The first day of creation was actually water. And you're connecting to that beginning. Now, I just want to conclude with a story. Are we okay with that? Okay, this is a story that took place in the time of the prophets. And the story goes as follows. There was a woman whose husband died. And she went to the prophet Elisha, and she said, you know, my husband died, and now I have no money to provide for myself. And I have 2 sons, and the situation financially has gotten so bad that the creditors want to come and take my sons as slaves. What am I to do? So he answers her, and he says to her, tell me, what do you have in your home? She says, what do you mean? I told you I'm poor. I don't have anything in my home. He says, take stock of your situation. What do you have? She thinks again, and she says, the only thing that I have in my home is 1 small cruse jar of oil. He says, if so, go out to all your neighbors and borrow pots, pans, containers, vessels, cups, whatever you can get a hold of, whatever containers you can get a hold of, borrow it and bring it into your home. And start pouring from that cruse of oil. She begins pouring from the cruse of oil, and it fills all the pots that she has, all the vessels that she has, all the containers that she has. And when she finally fills up every last container, she says to her son, where's the rest? And they said, we've used it all up. And that's when the cruse of oil stops pouring. The prophet says, take all this oil, sell it, and with the money that you sell, pay off your creditors, and with the rest that's left, you can live for the rest of your life. And so she does. Now, lovely story, nice, happy miracle that ends up happening. But really, when we look at this on a more mystical level, there's a great metaphor here for all of us. What is the metaphor here? We sometimes feel like my husband has died, my life is passionless, my relationships are passionless. My service of God is passionless. There's no passion there. There's no excitement. It's devoid of joy, of meaning. There's no meaning and joy in my life. So much so that the creditors want to take my son as slaves. What does that mean? That we're so enslaved in our schedules, in the busyness of our schedules. We feel enslaved by our schedules. And we cry out to God. And what does God say to us? He says, what do you have in your house? What nothing left. There's nothing left of my relationship. There's nothing left of my passion. And God says, take stock of your situation. If you're feeling pained by your lack of relationship, it means there still is a relationship. Because a dead person doesn't feel pain. There's something still pounding in your heart that wants it. If you're feeling pain by a lack of meaning in your life, it means your soul is pumping very strongly, because if not, you wouldn't be feeling this lack. Take stock of your situation. And she says, okay, I have one cruse of oil. What is oil? Oil is that liquid that doesn't mix with any other liquid. And oil represents that part of our soul that's completely pristine, completely holy, completely attached to God and spirituality, untainted by this world. That part of ourself that we can't always access, but that's holy and that's inside of ourselves. How do we access it? The prophet says, go and borrow vessels. What are vessels? Vessels are deeds, actions. He says, go and do good deeds. It might feel at first like it's borrowed, like you're being a hypocrite. Who am I to say this? Who am I to do that? That's okay. So wives, go on and say those words of praise. Give that smile, even if you don't mean it. Say it. Husbands, go out and act. Offer to do something kind. Offer to do something good. Even if you don't mean it. Even if you don't really feel like it at the time. And then something wonderful happens. Once you have those vessels, the oil of inspiration is able to fill it. You see, we can't all live perpetually inspired lives, perpetually good lives, perpetually connected lives. But when that oil of inspiration does surface, when your soul, that pristine soul of yours, does finally surface, and it sometimes does, it needs to have the vessels of deed in order to fill, or else it goes back into hiding. So when we make our day full of deeds and actions that might feel borrowed, that might feel hypocritical, but they are good deeds nevertheless, when that oil does finally surface, it will have what to fill. Thank you for listening.
But if you'd rather write it down on a note card, we had note cards out at the table, but if you didn't remember to take one, I have a pile here. And if anyone still needs a pen, we do have more up here. So I'll be happy to pass out note cards. You can send your question up if you don't feel like raising your hand, and otherwise, you're more than welcome to raise your hand. Yes.
So with women tending to be more nurturing, when a woman asks a man, would you like some coffee? It's possible, maybe even likely, that the woman is trying to see that the man has the liquid that he wants, maybe even anticipate his needs before he realizes it. Or she's really saying, I want coffee. And so there's this total ambiguity between whether she's trying to be nice or she's trying to be indirect.
It's called the dance of marriage.
Is it a dance or a something else?
I got something that explains it.
Okay.
This is a book that's called Understanding Woman. Do you see how fat it is? This is volume 1.
Right. And it's never been published, right?
And it's never been published, and it's never been finished. Women are definitely very hard to understand, absolutely. And that, this is obviously, we can't get to everything tonight, but this is obviously an introduction of what women are, what men are, and, in your own dance of a relationship, you kind of have to figure it out and make it work. But the point is to understand first, she's not being bad and he's not being bad. They're just using their own tendencies. That's the main point. that cause, an awareness.
So that they don't, did you say so you don't have to continue to?
So you don't
do
have to
that?
keep on asking.
Okay. Just wanted to understand the question.
No, so that,
So that he'll understand you?
yeah, that
Okay.
That's right, no?
get it, no, just, you've known each other, so
Okay.
Okay, so
awkward
that's,
sometimes.
right. So there's 2 points that I want to say with saying what you want. First of all, because men are so in their direct mode, the line mode, it's really important to choose your time wisely. So in other words, when he comes in at the end of a day, after he's just totally wrecked, and he doesn't want anything, but he's done his conquest, now he just wants to chill and do nothing, that's probably the worst time to explain directly what you want. Instead, the best time would be to say, okay, can we have a time to talk? You know, make a set time after he's relaxed, where you can actually express your opinion. And it would probably be a good idea, because we said men are much more point by point, direct. It would probably be a good idea to first do bullet points of your ideas, and then elaborate and go on to explain. That's how men are better at listening, when you do that, those bullet points. Now, as far as your question, will that, make them more aware? Hopefully, with time, we do get more aware. And hopefully you also realize that the point is that you really want to get what you need, too. So it's okay to ask also. Yeah, you want him to be more aware, but you also want the bottom line of what you want. So hopefully both kind of merge a little bit towards each other, and that's part of the challenge of marriage.
Someone else? Because I've already asked. No one else? So, if the man thinks that, gee, she said to, I want a cup of coffee, but I'm wondering whether she actually has some other meaning. Not sure, I can think of various things. Maybe she just wants to use the restroom and she's asking for a cup of coffee. Maybe she really wants coffee. Maybe she's concerned about me. So is it okay for the man to say, what is it you really want? Or I could think of 3 meanings or 4 meanings for what you said. Which one is it? Or what is the best way of the man, if he is aware that there are multiple possibilities, inquiring and getting an answer other than whatever you want?
Can I try to answer that question? Sure. I think the best thing to do would be to ask another question, like to say, is there anything that you need? Or,
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that going to get an answer? Or how does the man go about trying to get a
I
clear
think
answer?
you would say, can I get you a cup of coffee? Would you like a cup of coffee? To which she might reply, oh, thank you. Or she might reply, no, that's okay. I really just wanted to know if you want one. Or she might say, actually, no, I don't. I just thought you might be interested. You're getting her to talk without actually kind of attacking or claiming that she's being ambiguous. You're doing it in a nicer way.
Okay, thank you.
Someone else wanted to say something? Okay, there's a few questions here. Do you think a couple coming from different cultures has an impact on a romance and that it can cause problems? That's an interesting one. I think every couple is coming from different cultures. It's women and men, masculine and feminine. So it is different cultures. Having said that, at sometimes what's so enticing about men and women and why we're attracted to each other is because we are different. And that's why men are attracted to women and women are attracted to men. Women have their women friends who they can sit and schmooze with, and men have their men friends who they can do whatever they do with. But it's this attraction that's what keeps us. So yeah, it could have an impact. It could have a positive impact. I think the main thing is that both have the same values. I think values are important to share. But I think different cultures can actually add to the spice of a relationship unless those values are coming into place in the different cultures. That's what I would say. Do you think learning disabilities can cause problems in a romance? I'm not sure what that means. Yes.
Such things as dyslexia, dyscalculia, ADD, nonverbal learning disability, Asperger's, things of that nature.
Of course. I mean, just like everything else comes to play in a relationship. Everything comes to play in a relationship. Everything. You know, does that mean you can't overcome it? Of course not. You know, does that mean it can't enhance it? Of course it could, if you learn how to cope with that. You know, all those things have positives with the negatives, just like everything in life. Okay, and this one, do you think ADD can cause problems in a romance? Is that the same question? I think it's the same question. Okay. So yeah, everything has positives and negatives that can, yes?
Just want to know, I came in a little late. I think we had some part about how the Adam and Eve story, could you go over that, how it ties into
Hey, we're gonna see who was listening. Who was listening? Can you go over to him and tell him who was listening? Let's see. That was a long part. I'm sure someone will be able to. Like maybe the reps could do that.
All right, so if we have no other questions,
Do you have a website or?
TheJewishWoman.org is the website that I am an editor of, and I write a weekly editor's note. So you might even find this group in there. I write about something every week, so I got to think of something. But yeah, great site. I also have Torah classes on there that you can find, articles, classes, short ones, long ones, whatever you like. So if you do a search for my name, you can find a lot of my stuff. But it's a great site, and it's updated